right, welcome in, gang. Getting ready to find out ECU's fate and where they will be heading for the 2023 NCAA Baseball Regionals. And we got myself, Clip Rock, Chandler Honeycutt, and the Mully Man, Mike Mullis, here on a Memorial Day Monday. We've got some Pirate Radio crew out at the Town Bank Tower. Just saw a video of them rolling in. Just saw them on television. And we're going to find out here where ECU will be playing. And Mully, how you doing, sir?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Thanks for coming in. I'm doing great.
Sure.
And Chan Man rolling in here as well. No days off, Chandler?
No days off.
We had Friday and Monday off, and guess what? We're here right here both days.
The grind never stops.
Have you ever in your life, Mully?
Yeah, I know. Working sucks, doesn't it?
I mean, just sweat and toil.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. We got, Peter Foote. What's up, Big Pete? Kaz, Jamie hanging out on the YouTube side of things. A lot of folks tuned in to Facebook as well. If you'd be so kind to give us a like and a subscribe. We got Pike and Josh here. Josh is driving back from Florida.
What about a story?
So Saturday night, he was like, hey, let's go watch the championship game. So he booked it down to Clearwater and got there for the championship game on Sunday. And I saw a tweet where he was headed back, and he says he's checking in from somewhere in South Georgia on the way back from Clearwater. Sounds like a country song.
You know what? And I'm sure Clearwater, the folks down there in the beer sales business probably appreciated his attendance.
No doubt about that. All right, so they're going to talk, and you know how this thing goes. They like to stretch it out. So, Mully, we found out on Sunday the 16 regional hosts, and today we'll find out the rest of the field. But I don't know, just from ECU standpoint, did the loss against Tulane Sunday affect regional hosting?
I don't. Obviously, I think if they win, it could potentially have changed things. But we got to go back and look at the whole season, man. And the reality is, this is the time of the year you play the big what if games. The biggest win for East Carolina of the year was the fact that Houston and Wichita State were rained out that third game. Now, there's no guarantee that Houston wins that game. But again, playing the if game just because it's kind of fun. If they win that game and Houston goes on to hold on and win the regular season, and then if Tulane in turn wins the conference tournament, where would that have put East Carolina? You know what I mean? Is there any way in the world that the committee would have allowed 3 AAC teams, regardless of number of wins? And I think the best example, you look back, what was it, 5-6 years ago, where Campbell led the country in wins, didn't win their conference tournament, and didn't get in.
Right.
I'm not saying didn't get in as a host. I'm saying didn't get in. So I don't know. Did it come down to that one game? Did they look back? I mean, we had two losses in a conference that was down this year. 2 series losses in a conference that was down this year. Look, RPI was there. Strength of schedule was there. I don't know, and a lot of that is these decisions are being made by people, and a lot of that is up to that. It's in the eye of the beholder. So I don't know, Clip. It would have been an interesting situation, but I don't know that it would have made a difference.
All right, we got halftime Don hanging out with us.
Let's roll, baby.
What's up, Don? We've got Rick, who is hanging out in Runaway Bay, Jamaica, about to head back to reality.
That ain't a bad spot to be.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's not.
I mean, I'm here with you guys, and he's in friggin' Jamaica.
It's nice and gray and ugly kind of here.
Terrible here. Yeah.
So enjoy it while you can there. All right. Jamie says, what did Mully think of umpiring in the tournament?
You know what? I don't.
You don't really get into this.
No, and I will say I think umpiring is down. Period. I think it's from top to the bottom of the game. But it's one of those deals where I thought it was consistently down both ways in all directions, and it didn't matter who was playing. There were a lot of times. I cannot tell you. I probably said in this tournament more times than I've ever said, well, that was a gift, one way or the other. So I mean, I just think we're umpires are not being cultivated at the younger levels because, quite frankly, it doesn't pay well enough for the abuse that's taken. So if you're not bringing up young umpires, then this is what you're going to deal with. And I think it just brings in the automated strike zone, just becomes more and more of a real thing.
Todd is in Dublin, Ireland.
That is awesome.
We got folks from everywhere.
People are like everywhere on Memorial Day Monday.
Yeah, so thank you all for hanging out with us. As again, they are going through, going to eventually tell us where everybody's playing. Right now, they are just talking about SEC teams.
Well, and there's a good reason. If you look at, there's 64 teams that make the field. If I'm not mistaken, there's 30 conferences that get automatic bids, conference winners. That leaves 34 at-large teams. The argument could be made that there's 20 of those teams between the SEC and the ACC. So it's kind of a hard field to crack. And that, that's where I think the most upset folks are probably going to be in those two conferences today when they don't get in. And obviously you had a bid still with Tulane. So Tulane gets in with 18 wins on the season. So, but they're in. So that means that you've got a Notre Dame maybe on the outside looking in. I think State did just enough in beating Duke that they're good to go.
Oh, they're right. They're on the bubble.
Yep. But again, this is just that time of the year where you play the ifs game. But if you said, okay, Notre Dame has to play Tulane in a best of 3 to get in, how do you think that shakes out? I mean, can Tulane be? I don't know. Do we see Tulane in Omaha? Do I think so? No, but I mean, it's baseball. That's why the game it's different than any other game.
All right, Mullis, Chandler, myself hanging out here on a Monday, about to find out. And is that official? So Wake Forest is number 1 overall, Florida 2, Arkansas 3, Clemson number 4. We'll talk about them quite a bit. And I missed the others. So we are going to
LSU was 5, Stanford was 8, and I'm not sure who 6 and 7 were.
Well, we're going to get right to the Winston-Salem Regional. When I was a kid, I used to get a poster board, draw out a blank bracket, and write out every team for the NCAA basketball tournament and put it on my little pin thing, whatever. Well, I'm going to do that with this baseball tournament. George Mason will be the 4
this year
in Wake. So it'll be Wake and Mason playing.
I don't know that anybody wants any part of that Wake Forest pitching staff.
There's a chance we see our name right here.
That's exactly right.
It's going to be Northeastern, and they're not putting up 2, 3, 4. What is that? Are they the 2 or the 3? I wonder.
I would think
3.
I would think 3.
Northeastern.
George Mason 4, Northeastern
and
3.
to fill it out will be Maryland. The Terps.
We talked about it before we went on. D1 baseball yesterday had East Carolina going to Conway with South Carolina, Ryder, and obviously Coastal Carolina. I can tell you that would be that'd be a party. I mean, that would be an incredible regional environment.
Well, that was a good matchup last year in the
Who was regional. The 3 in there? You said
it was State, East Carolina, and Ryder.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now the chances of that coming to pass, I'm not. Again, nobody knows right now except for the people that cast their vote.
So Tuscaloosa, does that mean they are the 8? They're doing them next.
No, 8 was Stanford.
Okay, 16. Sorry, that makes more sense. Alabama is 16. I haven't heard a lot of ECU to Tuscaloosa, Mullis.
No, me neither.
So
heard some Auburn.
Auburn was a couple weeks ago. Yep.
I can't remember what projection I was looking at, Molly, but I had Texas Tech as the 3 in ECU's wherever they were heading.
How funny is that?
It might have been Clemson or Conway.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned it with Clemson, man. What a job Eric Backage has done with that program. That's truly incredible. I mean, and it's not like he followed a bad coach in Monty Lee. It just shows you exactly how good they are. And they had some key transfers that they brought with them from Michigan that probably filled immediate holes that were glaring.
All right, so the Tuscaloosa Regional is Bama, Nicholls State, Troy, and Boston College. Boston College baseball, Molly. Did not know that we had to worry about them.
Well, and good for them on getting in. That's a little bit of maybe a sleeper there.
You look at the heat map of schools in the tournament in college baseball. If you look at just the regionals, it's all Southeast, basically, pretty much. But even if you look at, and you're going to have teams obviously win their conference from up there, but there's not going to be a ton north of Maryland,
right? It's the game is definitely dominated in the Southeast. I mean, there's no question. And you obviously have the West Coast flavor But speaking of the Southeast, here we go to Miami.
Miami is number 9, the number 9 national seed. Ryan Braun was a Hurricane.
He was a Hurricane.
They will take on one of those northern schools, Maine.
Maine Bears.
What a trip that is! Just head on down the
yeah.
You could boat there,
maybe quicker. Yeah, Maine's leaving today.
Yeah,
set sail. Louisiana Raging Cajuns will be in that.
That was another team speculated that Tulane may have put out, so they made it in.
Texas.
Wow.
man.
So Texas not a host this year. They will be heading to Miami.
Remember the Pirates going down to Miami a few years ago? Didn't work out too well. I think we lost to Columbia.
Yep. Did they play Miami?
I don't think we ever got to them. I'm trying to think of who else was in that regional.
What year are we guessing that is? 2015?
2015 or 16 maybe?
The U, Maine, Louisiana, Texas is the Coral Gables Regional.
Now the question becomes, who do they send from the East Coast to Stanford? Somebody's going to have to make that trek, I'd be willing to bet you. So you probably should see, you may see Jason Dietrich and his crowd in this one from Cal State Fullerton.
San Jose State, so they stay California there.
You look at the regional map, and Stanford kind of stands alone on that West Coast.
Yeah, all by them lonesome selves.
Is that where they're sending Coach O this year?
There you go, Mullis.
Yeah, there's Dietrich.
So Jason Dietrich in his first year,
second year,
31 and 22.
Really struggled last year. That's an incredible turnaround.
Former Pirate.
All right, is this East or no? It'll be South, a little Southwest. Texas A&M filling out the Stanford Regional.
I tell you what, I watched them play yesterday. We were talking about a little bit in the SEC tournament. Man, Stanford's got their hands full with A&M. They're a pretty talented club. You know, is their 36 wins worth more than Stanford's 38 wins? Just, coming out of the conference they come out of,
yeah.
and, I can tell you Stanford does not feel comfortable looking at Texas A&M being in their regional.
By the way, just to cap off a conversation we had a moment ago, East Carolina lost to Columbia in that Coral Gables Regional, then lost to FIU. Never even got a piece of Miami back in 15. LSU, number 5. Overall national seed.
And, you go for the beginning of the year, for them to be the 5 seed is a little bit of a surprise. Certainly for Wake Forest to be number 1. And there's Tulane.
LSU and Tulane, first game in that regional. Can the magic continue? Where's Corey Glor's big head? Is he back there somewhere?
Hello. Football and baseball.
Live from Baton Rouge. 19 and 40.
That is a crazy, crazy look there.
Sam Houston.
A team like Tulane, though, is a scary team. They can obviously run the ball out of the park on you. They have guys like that Clevenger kid. If he just finds a strike zone, he was pretty reasonable as far as stuff goes. Do I think they could beat LSU? No. Can they win a game in that regional? 100%. No question about it.
Just saw Oregon State, Molly. How many Pac-12 teams are made? Have you looked at them?
No, I hadn't. I had bear down on the Pac.
I'm going to need one of you guys to be our Pac-12 analyst next year.
Okay.
Chandler, take that over for me.
I got you.
I want to know about Washington Huskies baseball.
All right. Sounds good.
Hey, Pirates have been out there.
All right.
We go to the Ryder Giles Regional, Lexington. So that would put them at 12. All right, I'm starting to figure things out here. I can do a little bit of bracket math.
Doing great work over there, Cliff.
Ryder Giles and Kentucky, the number 12. Do we go see our old friend?
Another team that you're like, Kentucky?
Right.
I mean, really? But,
Honestly, when he transferred there, I think a lot of people thought, well, why are you going down like a level? I know SEC's not down, but like Kentucky, but they are hosting.
Yeah, Dan Roselle there, former pitching coach at East Carolina.
I was going to ask if he was there, yeah.
Indiana.
Hoosiers.
We talked about them quite a bit this year, Mully, because we saw them here.
41 wins. Tell you what, how about Kentucky and Indiana, old school basketball?
Blue Bloods.
West by God, Virginia.
Randy Mazie taking his club to Lexington. There's Randy right there to the left in the white shirt.
Is that still Amanda?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Former WITN news anchor, Amanda Ross, I believe, at the time.
Yeah.
Connections, folks. It is
Connections.
It's a small world when you break it all down.
All right. Where are you guys thinking? I mean, is it Conway?
I think it's Conway.
I think it's either UVA.
Could it be Auburn?
Could be Auburn.
It's going to be a C. Charlottesville, Columbia, or Conway.
I like that.
So Auburn is what number? 13.
Lucky number 13.
Penn. Ivy League baseball.
Certainly don't want to get in a spelling bee with those guys.
Not at all. Spell Jeff Samardzija.
Now, where would Jeff Samardzija come from as it relates to Auburn or Penn?
He's just a baseball player with a weird spelling last name.
You
Went
remember
to Notre Dame and
Yeah.
was a tight end, I believe, on the football team.
Played for the
He's
Cubs.
a receiver.
Or receiver.
Just because he's a white dude.
I mean, that is racist.
Chandler went straight to the
I'm sorry.
He's a right guard.
Yeah.
Southern Miss.
Racial profiling at its best.
All right, so Auburn has Penn, Samford, and Southern Miss.
Southern Miss finished season like 16 in the country, I think, and
Southern Miss, Campbell, a couple I heard of maybe getting screwed, quote unquote,
Right.
because all the big boys are taking the spots. Somebody did ask, I think it was Robert. I think this was a question to you, Mully. How's the coach at Coastal doing? I believe you got a
Coach
buddy.
Gilly,
There, right?
he's doing okay, kind of maintaining, and a different situation with him not out recruiting, so they've kind of morphed their staff to figure out a way to compensate for that.
Here's a potential landing spot. for
Clemson,
Pirates.
number 4.
I got to say, it'd be a pretty cool deal for these guys to play.
Now,
For Eric and Cliff to face each other in
if this was the basketball tournament, they definitely play. They love those stories. Do they do it in baseball as well, Mully? Try to get the storylines out.
I mean,
don't know.
why not?
Lipscomb is the 4. All right, we could be popping up here. Charlotte, now we definitely could be popping up here.
Yep, this
Holding that CUSA crown.
well, that's the last time they'll get to hoist that.
They'll be hanging out with us next year in the American.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Tennessee.
Wow. Rocky Top.
Oh, Rocky Top. Dave K.
I tell you what, I really like Clemson coming out of that one. I really do. I mean,
What happened to Tennessee this year, Mully?
They lost a bunch of guys. And again, you miss on a couple guys at that level of baseball. You bring in a guy that you think is going to, replace numbers. Doesn't work out. You see what happens. And you think about last year, man. When Tennessee was everybody's all-world, the best pro team in college baseball, and it just didn't work out.
I haven't heard their coach talk much this year.
Well, he got himself in a little trouble early on, so he may have been sequestered by his athletic administration to some point.
By the way, I just want to give a shout out to the people watching. We have 86 people watching on Facebook. I think we got 30 on YouTube.
Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We will interact with you once we go through and take your questions, comments. I guess as of right now, let us know where you think East Carolina's heading. So here's what's off the board so far. Wake Forest, Stanford, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Miami, Auburn, Kentucky. That leaves Conway, which is a name I've heard quite a bit since yesterday. That leaves Columbia with South Carolina. What other options?
Charlottesville, UVA.
Charlottesville, sure.
And I got to tell you, from a
Haven't heard Terre Haute.
I hope not.
Terre Haute,
I hope not.
Indiana. Yeah.
I tell you what, from a travel standpoint, all those spots are very
Charlottesville, Columbia,
very reasonable.
Conway. Yeah.
Very easy travel for the Pirate Nation.
Of course, we got some history in Charlottesville with East Carolina playing in a regional not that long ago.
Obviously, another cool tie there will be Coach Mack, and CG getting together.
Robert Matthews says Columbia. Kenny says looks like Conway.
Steve's going Conway, as is Pike. Well, he says Conway is closest to my condo, so that would work. Do they talk to people with condos, Mullis?
I'm sure, yeah.
Let's see. Steve says UVA Vandy. How about the Vandy boys?
I mean, can you imagine, as bad as the Whistler was at the AAC tournament yesterday, having to listen to that Vandy crowd? A copycat Whistler. We have a copycat Whistler in Tulane.
Yeah. And when there's nobody in the crowd, you can really hear it.
Yeah.
You know that.
Well, or when he sits right beneath the microphone.
It sounded like they found the microphone and then just took it and was just yelling into it or whistling into it.
And I understand that I guess that the stadium security can't do so much. A guy paid to get in.
Yeah.
But it is.
It's more of like self-control. Like, hey, bud, like,
chill out.
Be a good citizen.
Right. I mean, just chill out. Why do you feel the need to be such a jerk?
Sometimes we gotta police ourselves, people.
I'm going to guarantee you he was a 60-plus-year-old white dude.
All right. I'm going to definitely co-sign on the race. I'm not sure about the age and the sex. Male, Caucasian male, yes. Age, I don't know.
I just think it's a lost art, the art of the dog call, the huge whistle on anybody under 45. I mean, I know it's not even something that's entered into my way of thinking.
Jamie says, what's worse, cowbell or whistles?
That whistle is really aggravating. Cowbell could be bad.
Steve Young, not that Steve Young, said, I have Columbia in for Clip's 5-year respect. I did say on Twitter, if you correctly name where the Pirates are going, I'll respect you for the next 5 years. So, Steve, good luck. You may be getting my respect, buddy.
Talking about aggravating crowd noise, probably the worst I've been around was when we went to Cherryville in American Legion Baseball. And for those of you that don't know, Cherryville in North Carolina is the mecca of, I mean, they turn out. And they do the cans with pennies full of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or not full,
like
but
10 cans or whatever.
Yeah, and it's just constant.
I watched them play in a state championship game against Whiteville one year.
Cowbells are redneck enough, but you know what? Let's take it to another level. Let's go penny in a can.
Yeah.
Penny in a can.
Myers Park High School used to
There was a guy, and when I was playing high school football, there was a guy with an air horn.
All right.
That was very, very annoying.
We go to Gainesville. I'm not saying we.
We're going to Gainesville.
We're finding out the Gainesville region.
Even if East Carolina's not in this regional, we're going to Gainesville.
We're going. We're Coach O. We're going with him.
We're going.
The Rattlers of Florida A&M, 1 game over 500.
Great band.
We'll get Florida. Texas Tech is heading to Gainesville.
Head coach at Florida's Kevin O'Sullivan was at Clemson.
Man, I forgot to ask this at trivia, but one team, Mully, UConn heading south. Maybe Maine and UConn can travel together. Yeah. Do you know it off the top of your head, Mully, the streak Florida State had going that is broken this year? It was like 30-plus years or something like that of going to the tournament?
Oh, no, they just go every year.
Well, hey, yeah. Until this year.
Yeah.
Here's Columbia.
All right. Could this be us? Are they 15? Columbia, South Carolina, the 15 overall seed. The 4 is Central Connecticut State.
You know, South Carolina started off offensively as good or better than anybody in the country and has kind of waned lately. They've kind of stumbled their way into the tournament and still managed to hang on. I mean, they were definitely projected as a top 8 seed for a long time and have kind of played their way out of that.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go now.
NC State is in Columbia. Will East Carolina match up with the Pack? No.
Oh,
Campbell. I like that.
Campbell and NC State. Friday.
Holding up a sign that says nobody's. The Campbell Fighting Camels. Where's Haymeyer?
All right. That takes that was a fairly likely landing spot, and now that one goes by.
So we're Conway.
Yeah, let's see who would be. So State's out.
I don't know enough about it to know.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I'm just.
Any other ACC, Mully? Virginia Tech, or I don't. I'm just naming names here.
Out of the ACC, you know.
All right. Or you could stick a SEC team there.
Because
it's
where the Hills going in as. Could they be a 3?
Yeah. All right. Coastal is the 10.
Ryder holds true. This is really looking like it could be the future of Pirate Nation.
Who was the other one in that?
It was State.
It was State, but
North Carolina ECU?
Yeah.
That'll get folks talking. Oh, UNCW.
Boy.
Wow. UNCW. And this has got to be it, right?
This is it, right? Right?
I don't see how it can't.
Oh,
wow.
Man, this is exciting. I love Selection Monday.
Wow.
All right, so Coastal.
Man.
So we're going to Charlottesville.
Coastal's got to really like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to really like that. They got to, I mean, not that Duke's a good too. Again, another team that a lot of people thought early on were going to be a host.
All right. So now to Virginia, who is the 7, which means if East Carolina's in this and wins the regional, the Super would be one of those Coastal, Duke, UNCW. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're looking far out here, but I like it. I like the way it looks. Army, West Point.
Happy Memorial Day.
Absolutely.
They're fired up.
Yeah, and they got to go do PT here in just a few minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're just glad to.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's go.
Oklahoma.
All right, could it be ECU here?
I mean, it definitely could be. If not, that kind of takes us out of all our existing guesses.
We're going to. There
it is.
ECU.
I think the tone in everybody's voice right there was a little bit like, okay, it's.
Is that Patrick Mason? No, it's not Patrick.
See Garrett Short.
Let's see
Alan
there.
Vick.
Show your name.
I see Patrick Mason in the back.
We got a long delay here. There we go. Cliff Godwin raises one arm just as he does the coaching third. That right arm. The only one that goes
You've
up.
got 2 45-win teams there. That's pretty impressive.
Being Virginia and ECU.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, 5 guys. I know 0 about them, Mully. How about you?
Yeah, not a team that I followed much. I don't know that I've seen them play all year. And I'd say, them and Army. I mean, just not normally doesn't grab my attention as I'm flipping through plus. But
Could we get a winner's bracket rematch like we did last year on that Saturday night? This time in Charlottesville.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Virginia was at our house last
That
year.
winner's bracket game.
All right, Vandy is the 6th. Let me we'll fill this out, folks, and then we'll circle back and we'll break down East Carolina's regional. Vandy and Eastern Illinois. Go ahead and get your questions from Mully fired up. We'll go as long as you guys want to hang out with us today. Xavier. So ECU will be in Charlottesville. I'm ready for first pitch times and all that. We'll get that today at some point.
it looks like the powers that be are saying that that Oklahoma getting in probably puts Kansas State out.
Right, because NC State was said to be on the bubble, but they're in.
And I don't think you'll see again Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Vandy boys have Eastern Illinois, Xavier, and Oregon.
Oregon.
That is a weird-looking regional.
Oregon's got to make a trip.
You've got every time zone represented, except Mountain Time. Nobody cares about Mountain Time.
Stillwater.
Oklahoma State is the 11. Oral Roberts must have a good athletics program. They're in the big dance a lot. They're in the baseball tournament. Mike Soroka getting the start tonight for Atlanta. First time since 2020 when they take on the A's. All right, Washington. There you go, Chandler.
All right.
Part of your beat.
Pac-12 Chan.
I'll
Yeah.
head to Stillwater.
Can you head out? Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
And Dallas Baptist. I would love to, I don't know about love. I'd be interested to read about or just learn more about what they got going on, Mully, because they are 40 to 50 wins every year.
I think it's a lot like what you see with East Carolina.
45 and 14.
You don't hear their name in any other sport. Like, are they just all
I think
in?
it's a lot like what you see at East Carolina. You know,
And they're in the CUSA, right? Because I believe that's who Charlotte beat in the championship game.
Good eye, Chain Man. So it's funny how these like regionals on the East are all teams within 45 minutes of one another, and then once you start going out west, it gets way spread out. Indiana State.
Saw them.
What are they? 14. Yep. Wright State. You got the Wright State, baby. The Larry Bird Regional. The Garrett Short Regional. And there are the Tar Heels. They go to Terre Haute.
they're lying.
What do you mean?
They're lying.
About
They're not
being
that
happy?
excited. They're not that excited to go to Terre Haute.
They think it's winnable.
Job.
Iowa. 42 and 14, Molly.
Patrick Mason.
Are the Hawkeyes. P. Mace. You got P. Mace versus Garrett Short. I got to get them on together this week
You do.
for a throwdown, a showdown throwdown. So that would leave Clemson, Wayne, Arkansas. Have we done Arkansas? I think Arkansas is the 3. I wish I knew who was on the bubble right now so I could build some drama, but I have no clue.
Well, I mean, again, from the ACC, Notre Dame, Kansas
You said
State.
K-State.
Yeah. Just a couple right off the top of my head.
So who else? How many Campbell fans got pumped last night when they saw Fayetteville Regional? Because it got me for a split
tweet.
second.
I saw your tweet and I saw Fayetteville and it got me.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Santa Clara. What Hall of Fame NBA point guard attended Santa Clara? Steve Nash, right? Arizona is in them. Another Pac-12 school. Believe the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. And the final team in the field is
TCU, I was just looking at that. RPI 45, and so the Sam Harrigan at NCAA.com had 3 most likely to get in from the bubble, and it was Texas Tech, TCU, and Oklahoma. So he was correct.
In.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've got some information. The Whistler was a member of their photographer's family, thanking her dad. He was definitely 50 plus. He was a male, but they were Cuban Americans. And according to a Tulane fan, their chant meant punch out in Cuban Spanish. Thank you, Stephanie.
Very nicely done.
That is great work.
That's a great report.
The one that sounded like BS when they
That's what
Oh,
I kept
right.
hearing. I was like, are they saying what I think they're saying?
You know, how clever is it to outsmart yourself by having a chant in Spanish that nobody knows what I mean? That's not how effective is that
Are
chant?
they going to throw you out if they don't know what you're saying?
No.
All right. I'll be right back, Chandler. Take over for a moment, and we're going to discuss what we got here.
All right, sounds good.
This will be fun.
Talk to Mullis.
No, it's okay. It's okay. He's doing his Pac-12 stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at Washington baseball. So what do you think, Mully? Do you think this is a good regional for the Pirates?
I mean, yeah, Oklahoma is your national runner-up from last year. Lost some guys just doing a little quick digging, but they got a guy 7-0 on the mound. So, I mean, obviously have some guys back.
Taking a quick look at some of the scheduling for Oklahoma and Army, I did see Oklahoma has got a loss. One of their losses this year was to Wichita State. They had to go on the road at Wichita State, and they lost 7-8 on the road against the Shockers. And then Army actually had a midweek matchup against Arkansas at Arkansas, and they put up a fight. So I believe that final score was 7-5. So you got Oklahoma and Army. Oklahoma, interestingly, lost on the road to a team that gave East Carolina fits this year, Wichita State, and then Army putting up a fight against the 3 seed overall in the tournament, Arkansas. So they'll put up a fight, but we'll see the Sooners coming up on Friday.
Yeah, they've got, just looking again at their stat line, they've got a guy, Braden Carmichael, 7-0, James Hitt, 6-1, Carter Campbell, 6-4. So that looks like there's obviously their first 3 guys. It looks like Carter Campbell may be their. Interesting. He must be their number 1 guy of the pen. 32 appearances on the season, so he must be their Danny Bill. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of interesting too. They're kind of all over the place. They have guys that have 27 appearances. I'm sorry, have 17 appearances, with only 10 of those being starts. But they would, so kind of indicative of maybe some midweek stuff. And just looking at their strikeout to walks, it looks like they're, especially this Braden Carmichael was a strike thrower. So I mean, those kind of things, give me a guy that's around the zone that I can, go up and have some good aggressive at bats, working early in counts with him. I mean, he's only struck out 59 in 74, so that, he's a pitchability guy.
Shout out to Gov, Mark Howard. I saw he was calling somebody out in the Facebook chat, mixing it up. He was calling himself out. He had predicted Conway, and he said, wrong again. What's up, Gov? A lot of folks were wrong. My prediction was Winston-Salem, but saw a lot of Conways, saw some Columbias, but did see some Charlottesvilles, and that is where we are heading on Friday. Let's see, they're breaking down some stuff on the TV side, Mully. 10 teams from the SEC, 8 of top 16. Earl Roberts has won 18 in a row. Clemson has won 16 in a row heading into the tournament.
How about that? No first-timers for the first time since 2001.
No first-timers. All right, what are we thinking, folks, about Charlottesville? It'll be ECU and Oklahoma, and Army and Virginia facing off on Friday. Chandler, this will not be our first ECU versus Oklahoma watch-along.
No.
We did one in basketball.
Takes me back to the basketball, I guess that preseason tournament where the Pirates actually put up a fight against
Oklahoma. They were
Oklahoma.
right there at the end. David says, how far is the drive to Charlottesville?
About 4 hours. 3.5 hours.
David, while I'm here, I might as well put in the work for you. I'm going to Google it right now and tell you that it's 3 hours and 34 minutes. Hop, skip, and a little jump.
Yeah, and it's an easy drive. I mean, it's,
I was looking at Oklahoma's schedule to see if there was any kind of familiar foes that we faced off. They do have a loss against Wichita State. They went to.
So we have that in common.
So they went to Wichita State and lost 7-8. I looked at Army. They went on the road midweek. They went to the number 3 overall seed Arkansas and only lost by 2 runs, 7-5. So
they've played some decent competition. So Big 12 got Texas Tech,
Oklahoma.
I'm trying to see how many teams they had in the field.
I think that's it
from the Big 12. TCU got in there. So, yeah, not a ton of teams from the Big 12 this year.
You remember, and so Schlossnagle, who was at TCU, is now at A&M, maybe in the SEC. Anyway, you know how, TCU, when Randy Mazey was there with Schlossnagle, and they played kind of a different brand of baseball, and man, they were really, really good. And now, obviously, both those guys have moved on. Randy before Schlossnagle, I think Coach Schloss took that job last year to turn that program around.
Corey says, will the game be on TV? I know they'll all be on the Plus.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. As far as your traditional TV, not sure.
Well, you may see them split them up over the ESPN family of networks with Plus and with News and U and 2, or but I think probably something's going to have to be carried on ESPN Plus, at least for the first weekend.
My favorite thing, and now I can't remember what it's called.
Extra innings, around the horn.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Bases
loaded.
Bases loaded, I think.
Yeah, the four.
Anyway, they just go from game to game. It's like
Squeeze
red
play.
zone. Squeeze play? Maybe.
I think it's because I remember you tweeting about it.
Yeah.
And they put it on the TV.
It might be squeeze play. But that'll be fired up on Friday here. So excited about that.
What time is his first pitch for ECU Oklahoma again?
Again.
Yeah, I don't know that it's been established yet.
Oh, okay. I thought they had announced that.
I'm sure they're working through who's going to get what TV and how to do those things.
So is it true in the past? Doesn't the home team dictate if they play first or second? Yeah. So the top seed will decide if they want to go afternoon or evening. Godwin preferred to go early.
100%. Get it in while the weather's a little more predictable. You can stay on a routine and you don't have to wait for an extra inning game, or you can control the schedule a whole lot better going early.
Yeah, that's true. If your first game is delayed, oh well, but to have to sit there and wait for another. I
mean, look at what some of those teams went through. Yeah, East Carolina, obviously, which, by the way, we hadn't even mentioned this, man, but the guts that they showed, if anybody hadn't been involved in tournament baseball or really tournaments of any type that are affected by weather, let me tell you something. That was a grind for those guys to get through it. You had to expect yesterday's game was going to be a little sloppy. Will Coxon was just an absolute machine behind the plate, battled. His legs had to be just gone, totally gone. But man, those dudes, and quite frankly, it goes both ways. I mean, obviously Tulane's path wasn't necessarily, slick. So it was both teams had hills to climb. But yeah, that was a hell of an effort by both clubs.
So Trey Savage had his heroic effort on the days all run together, but Friday, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. So Mully, if say he's to throw this Friday, he'll be good.
Yeah, and everybody, everybody will be able to be turned and ready to go. But I mean, who knows how Cliff sees the matchup and which way he'll decide to go with it. That's one thing that I've learned is to not try to guess what Cliff's going to do, because he'll fool us all. And an advantage, and we talked about this last year, an advantage that the Pirates have right now is the fact that their pitching staff is always ready to go. Like, everybody's always ready to go. When you get into tournament time, I mean, you've got to have that, and that's the way Cliff has managed this club for most of the year, where it was kind of and I don't think he set out that way by design. I think he wanted it to be more traditional than what he had to do last year, but then you had, a couple injuries, you had dudes miss time, and next thing you know, you're moving around. I mean, you're looking at Zach Root. I mean, just as an example, you see him out of the bullpen early. You see him in a midweek game. You see him as the Friday starter. You see him in the Sunday championship. And he's not the only one, but maybe the most extreme example that I could think of that's kind of bounced around different spots in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, Carter Spivey started as a key weekend starter, and now he's back in his rover role out of the bullpen, coming in, throwing big innings for you, trying to close down games, things like that. Landon Ginn used as a closer quite a few times this week.
Saw him a lot this past week. By the way, Savage also, I want to say, shut the door on Wednesday night too.
He did. He had a 3 strikeout deal. Look, the MVP to me, as far as the pitching staff goes, is I don't think you can look past what Danny Bill's done. Yeah. It's been truly impressive, almost remarkable for the back part of the season. So, I mean, again, that's one thing that I do think favors the Pirates. And I know at one point there was this, wanted to be called elite pitching, and I think that there is really, really good depth of the pitching staff that you could go that far into the bullpen and still get guys that give you a chance. So just be very interesting to see what the Pirates do when we're forced to face better pitching day in, day out. And we've obviously taken advantage of lesser arms or tired bullpens. It has been a huge bailout. And if you look at the conference tournament, how many games did the Pirates fall behind? 2 or 3 runs early and then manage to hang around in that offense. In that ballpark, that ballpark in Clearwater is a perfect ballpark for the Pirates because the wind does move out to right a lot, full of the left-handed hitters that can drive the ball out of the park at any point. So
I believe it was Jamie said we'd be interested to see team pitching bullpen rankings nationally where ECU is. Well, just one stat I just pulled up is ERA. And how about this, Mully? One team in America has a team ERA under 3. That's Wake Forest.
Yeah, the 2.40.
There are 8 teams in America with an ERA under 4. So that kind of gives you a baseline on what college baseball looks like. East Carolina is 20th nationally at 4.30 ERA.
Yeah, and that's a look, man. So I just happened to look at Oklahoma. They're like 132nd nationally with like a 5.5, something like that, maybe 5.6. I can't remember exactly. But look, people have to remember this year there are more home runs hitting college baseball than have ever been hit in the history of the game. So it's
we saw that here against us, but that is something going on everywhere.
So I mean, it is a. Well, look at the number of home runs that were hit, in Clearwater. Yeah, you had a dude hitting a $190, runs the ball out of the park. So I mean, it's just one of those things where, the offense is there. These dudes are bigger and stronger, and they technically train differently. There might be more swings and misses, but there's definitely more productive single swings as well.
All right, we'll be here a little while longer in the Pirate Radio studios, breaking it down as East Carolina is headed to Charlottesville once again. We'll have coverage all week long leading up to it here on Pirate Radio. Back with you, Pirate Radio Live, 3 o'clock on Tuesday. But it'll be ECU and Oklahoma in the first game, and then Army and Virginia after that.
Some other big baseball news. You got Rose headed back to the state championship this upcoming weekend in Holly Springs, and I'm fortunate enough to be on the call for the NFHS for that, so I'm looking forward to doing those games Friday and Saturday. And man, what a fun weekend that'll be with regional watching and the state championships going on. I'm really looking forward to it.
RV's looking for state championship number what?
Oh gosh, man, 2058. I don't know. It's a bunch. He's. It's incredible, and it's just incredible. I don't know what else to say. He's won them in 4A now. He's classified in 3A now. It's just another North Carolina high school state championship that RV's involved in.
It's like when they would talk to him and he's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna go out there and see what happens.
Throw them out there and see what. We like our guys. I'll tell you what, I like their team. I like they're kind of that combination of they've got some arms and really high quality arms and some big strong kids that can swing the bat. So I mean, it should be. It should be a lot of fun, and so we've got the 3A and the 4A. They're playing West Henderson, Rose is, and then the 4A is TC Robertson and Wake Forest. So should be a good time.
All right, David, here's a real general question, Mully. To win the regional, what needs to improve for East Carolina, hitting or pitching? I'm gonna say you got to score. I'm gonna say hitting.
I think, and I think it's. I don't think there's any question. Again, we're going to have quality at bats against quality arms, and so you also have to think that everybody will be diminished past the first game. The losers, that right there, they still have bullpen issues. Games can still go extra innings. There's extra pressure because it's the regionals. All those things add up. But I think it's the quality at bats and the productive outs. I think that's going to be the biggest deal for the Pirates. We saw a lot in the AAC tournament where there were gifts being given all the way around by both teams, be it errors, be it pass balls, be it hit by pitch at bad times. 0-2 grand slam by Starling. You go over and over through that. You can't expect when you get into the time of the season where everybody has won and proven their worth to be in a regional, you can't expect the gifts to be quite as frequent. But look, man, this is postseason baseball. This is all about getting hot at the right time, and there was this kind of ongoing underlying maybe joke or chat or whatever, knowing how baseball guys are. It's 2023 too, and I don't rule anything out. Is this team good enough to get to Omaha? Yeah, you got to remember your national champion 2 years ago was Mississippi State. They were the last team to get into the postseason. So everybody that is in this tournament has every opportunity in the world to advance. And think back the last time the Pirates were in Charlottesville in a regional. Travis Watkins goes out and looks like he's Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Right? He'd been steady all year, maybe even
And
steady.
that was a game too. That game where there was like nothing going on for the Pirates,
and then walk off.
Yeah.
3-run home run to walk them off, and then then all of a sudden you get in a situation where William and Mary beats UVA, so East Carolina's got to play William and Mary, and William and Mary's got to beat East Carolina twice. You just no way. Then they go to Texas Tech, and I mean, literally, it's just runner at third base, and one or two things have to happen, and the Pirates are headed to Omaha then. So I don't put anything by them. I think Josh Mullins where he needs to be right now. Again, I as a former catcher and a coach, I look at what Will Coxon did on the weekend offensively as well. It is extremely impressive. So I mean, I like where he's at. I like where JC's he's hitting the ball hard. And I think, and I know there's somebody out there's going, why does Cliff keep taking JC out in the sixth? I don't know. I have theories, but it doesn't matter what I think. The reality is Cliff has a recipe that has worked. So I certainly wouldn't expect to see it change. I think Cam Klotz jumping in the lineup at this point has been big as well. Yeah. So, did I love the fact that Nowak came into pinch run as a not being the tying run the other day?
Right.
I didn't love that.
And you bring
I didn't love that. And then Dixon Williams comes in and he's actually the tie-in run. I would rather have Nowak swing the bat and work his way on base that way, or be in a position to lay a bunt down. But Cliff has the pulse of where everybody's at right now. The other one that I think is an unsung hero from the effort that was put out in Clearwater, Alec Makaravich went 2 days without eating anything.
Yeah,
I mean the dude's throwing up, and I mean he's battling. He's still hitting the baseball.
IVs between games.
He came on offensively as much as anybody the Pirates have for that tournament, and to play through those circumstances. So look, man, I literally, this is cliche. It was whatever, but nothing would surprise me with this team.
All right, looking way ahead, and I think this is a good question from Steve Young on YouTube. If we win the regional and Coastal loses their regional, who would host? So I'm going to say, Mully, is Duke a higher rated 2 since they're playing at a 10 and we're playing at a 7?
Yes.
However, Duke can't play a super, I don't think, at their home park.
So from what I understand,
and if the Durham Bulls are playing in town,
they had put the bid in to play at the old DAP, which is where Bull Durham was filmed.
So they do have a place they can play.
Theoretically, and I'm going to tell you, it's not very media friendly. It's just an old ballpark that really, quite frankly, should be turned into a museum. It definitely doesn't need to be destroyed, but it's North Carolina Central, I believe, is playing there. Kind of made it their home park, but I don't see that being a viable site for a host. But it's not my opinion.
Wait, so you don't think they would?
I think it would be I think they may get it, but it will be a terrible place to host.
Okay, but are we correct in saying Duke's higher seed?
I would certainly. That's what I would take away from where they're where they're put.
Yeah. So, bottom line, we don't know, but I would think Duke would have the opportunity to host that in that scenario,
right? Because
they're playing a 10 and we're playing a 7, and you just do the math there. So, great question. Don't know. I hope we find out.
Yeah, it would be it'd be an interesting scenario.
I'm pulling for Ken Watlington's UNCW Seahawks in Conway.
Let's go Seahawks.
So, that'll be. I wonder how often it is, Mully, where you have a 2 host a super. I mean, I know it happens, but how many? I wouldn't say it happens. Does it happen every year?
Well, no. I mean, last year, you think back, Carolina got to host a super by winning their regional on the road. So,
because they were playing who?
I can't remember, but they won their regional and got to host because the national seed lost.
Right.
I think that's a more likely scenario. But
all right, you guys have any more questions, comments? We'll go.
They just had Tom Walter up there from Wake Forest. Pull up his season last year, Clip, if you or one of you, and it was really bad.
So I looked this up. I think last year, they had a good record, and then the previous year they had a losing record. I want to say. Let me look it up.
I thought they won like 12 games in conference or something last year. It was not. It could have been the year before they all kind of run together.
47-10 this season were the Demon Deacons. Let's see. How do I go to 2022? They were
in the conference. They were 15-14-1.
Okay, so yeah,
they won 41 games.
They were 41-19-1 overall.
Now 2021, 20-27.
Maybe that's what I was thinking about.
Just two
years ago, they were really bad. Do the same thing.
How long has that guy been there? You know, Mullis?
Oh yeah, it's been there a while.
Okay.
So the story behind him, it's a really neat story. Coach Walter went in there and actually had a player that came in that had a kidney issue, and they had recruited him and they still signed him. They found out about the kidney issue prior to him coming to Wake Forest. They bring him to campus. Long story short, Coach Walter actually donated a kidney to this kid. And I mean, I've had a chance to be around Tom and spend some time with him, and I'm telling you, he's a very genuine guy. I'm really happy for him and for his program. And I don't know if you saw the interview. They've got the 2-time ACC Pitcher of the Year. Last 2 years, he's won that. There's only 2 other guys that have done that. So very high praise for him. But I saw an interview on the ACC network during the conference tournament with him, and man, just super humble. Like it, they have an impressive culture. They have again, Tom Walter's a class act, and I couldn't be happier for him. But the other turnaround that we were talking about a little bit is the turnaround at Clemson and what Bakich and Schnabel and Coach Leggett have done down there, and even turnaround in season. Man, they turned the Titanic as quick as you could turn it.
Well, they've kind of gone from like good to elite. Would you say?
100%. Yeah. They even to start the year, I don't even know if you would call it good. They were they struggled, but they figured things out, and I mean they're as hot as anybody. I think it's interesting to start maybe looking out and saying, okay, who's in Omaha? And I don't know if you could feel the field, but I think you got to like Wake Forest's pitching. Again, I don't even know. I would have to see how the matchups would shake out past the regional. But
so Wake, Bama, just kind of giving you who would meet. Stanford and Miami would meet. Clemson, Auburn. LSU, Kentucky. And then you got the Virginia Coastal,
East Carolina,
with Coastal as the two. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm crapping on Virginia too much, but could Coastal win against ECU and Virginia?
Yes,
sure, right.
Yeah.
Florida, South Carolina.
Coastal's an interesting team this year. They lost a lot of the team that we saw on the field here is not the team that's out there this year. Matter of fact, they had, and I don't remember which guy, but it was one of their better arms after pitching in the atmosphere at Clark LeClaire went into the portal. And the coaches are like, he said, man, I want to go to the SEC, and I want to say he went to A&M, but he wanted a chance to pitch in that environment, that type of environment again. So we jaded one of their guys by him coming here, and just he was mind blown by the fans.
Yeah. And by the way, were we going to bring in a guy from A&M, and it just never worked out?
Our relief pitcher.
He got here and he had some shoulder issues, and it just
Arkansas, Indiana State, and Vandy boys, Oklahoma State.
Vandy.
All right, well, let's just go to Hoover, Alabama, and play the Supers then. There's a lot of SEC.
Yeah.
As we look ahead, we're talking about if Duke wins in Conway, ECU wins in Charlottesville, what happens? B. Pace says that the Durham Bulls are away that weekend. Now, I don't know if that factors into anything.
He's exactly right, because there was talk about that when they put in their bid, the regional would have been at the old DAP, and they could play the Super at the Pro Park.
There you go.
That's exactly right.
But you know what? It's not here. It's not that party, but that would be good for Pirate fans. I mean, they could take over that stadium.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the nice part is it would allow more Pirate fans to attend.
True.
The downside would be is I don't think the event staff at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park would be ready for what they would deal with. In other words, we've seen where East Carolina's gone there to play Duke midweek, and the complaints you heard, I couldn't get a beer, I couldn't get a hot dog. They staffed it as though it was Duke playing somebody else, Duke playing Elon.
Yeah.
They didn't realize that when the Pirate Nation rolls in, you better have two things. If you don't have anything else, you better have cold beer and hot dogs.
And I guess tailgating would not be as fun out there.
I tell you who would kill it would be the little restaurant in left field. Tobacco Road would absolutely. I mean, you said it best. It would be an absolute pirate takeover. A lot's got to happen for that to ever get there, but it would be it is something interesting to talk about.
All right, well, been here an hour. If y'all got any last questions, comments to get in, we'll roll out here on a Monday. But we'll have a lot of coverage. We've got Glenn and the folks over there right now chatting with Coach Godwin and the players. So we'll have that video out for you. Those interviews coming out today. And then all week long on Pirate Radio, getting you ready for the Charlottesville Regional. Going to be a lot of fun. I told Mully I'd love to have him right back in that chair Tuesday at 4, but if he thinks it's overkill, I'll give him a pass. But he said no. He said he'll be on. So we'll talk to Mully more coming up Tuesday on Pirate Radio Live. Jamie has a question that I don't know because I've never purchased a beer at Clark LeClaire Stadium. How much is a beer at an ECU game?
$8.
8 smackers. 8 U.S. American dollars.
But boy, they're cold.
They are very
coldest in town.
Teeth busting cold, as my boy Bill Brinson would say.
Molly, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tiebreakers. We had some awesome wings for lunch. I've got some to take home. Chandler has not even broke into his yet.
No, but I'm about to.
So he's excited.
I broke into them for you.
That is true.
That's fine.
He tested them. Were they all right?
They were good.
Good enough for him to eat?
They were good.
Extra crispy?
I don't know about that.
He did order extra crispy. Chandler's finicky.
I mean,
He's a
really? What do
finicky
you
eater.
you think your family owns a restaurant or something? This ain't BK. You don't get it your way.
You're not king.
You get it how we give it to you.
That's right.
Tiebreakers, great spot to watch these regional games coming up later this week. Awesome spot for lunch as well. Mully, you love the lunch.
Oh, I love the lunch.
And
lunch menu.
There's a group of guys that hangs out. They always talk about the salad.
Salad's
they got
awesome.
a great
grilled
lunch
chicken
salad.
salad's incredible.
Check it out,
The
folks.
lunch burger, it's the best deal in town.
And RIP O'Cool's, my favorite wings in town were the jerk dry rub, where they got them at Tiebreakers, and it gives me an old taste of O'Cool's every time I bite into one. So thanks to Tiebreakers for the lunch today, and thank y'all for hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. We will do it again coming up 3 o'clock on Tuesday on Pirate Radio Live. East Carolina heading to Charlottesville. They'll take on Oklahoma, the Sooners, coming up on Friday. We'll see you folks